the very first thing we're going to do is uninstall this breather tube that attaches to the factory intake, and then the other end attaches to the valve cover. And I just want to point out, engine has some great installation instructions, which you'll get with your intake. Because we have a Megan strut bar already on it, we're going to be doing things in slightly a different order. But each step is exactly the same as it would be in the install manual for this beginning part here. So we're going to start with the breather tube. All you need is some needle nose pliers, like this. And you just take this end, kind of clamp down. Oops. Okay, so there we go. It does take a little bit of force. You just have to keep clamping down while you pull up on this piece here. And then got a little bit left I have to take out. There we go. You can just leave that clip on there. And then the other end, if you don't have the strut bar, you'll be able to come straight down. We have to come at an angle, so it's not that much more difficult. All right, so there we go. And if this falls off, just go ahead and put it back on there. All right, so the next step is we want to remove the factory intake tube that goes from the intake box to the throttle body. All you need for that is just a Phillips head, and there's these two main clamps right here, one by the throttle body and one by the intake tube. So just going to go ahead and remove those. And you don't have to completely take them off, you just have to loosen them enough so you can pull out the tube. All right, so the next step is we want to remove this MAF sensor harness and the actual sensor from the factory airbox. Again, because we have the Megan strut bar, we have to do things slightly differently. So what we're going to do is take off the top part of the factory airbox, and you can, even if you don't have the Megan strut bar, you can go ahead and do it the exact same way we're doing it. So there's just two clips on the side here. You just remove them with your hands. And that go ahead and comes out like that. And now this part is exposed, it's very easy to access. What we're going to do is the harness can be taken out like this. And then this green clip right here, you're going to use some needle nose pliers to get that. And then two Phillips screws for the MAF sensor. All right, there we go. All right, next we just have to remove this top of the factory airbox like that. We just uninstalled the MAF sensor. So put that away. And next, use a ratchet with a 10mm socket here. And there's just one bolt you have to remove. It's straight down from where I'm pointing. And that'll allow you to actually take out the lower part of the factory airbox. And at this point, you might as well remove the air filter. So the back part right here is actually held on by two rubber grommets, and you don't need a ratchet or anything to remove them. You just remove them with your hand, but it does take a little bit of force. You'll see when you take it out how they look, and it's a pretty tight attachment despite there being no bolts. There we go. Okay, and then we're just going to remove the lower part from this lower hose right here. And there we go. And you can see what the grommets look like. They just kind of seal really well around the two bottom pieces here from the factory.
Alright, so now we're basically going to remove what InGen calls a CCV tube. Basically, this is a little pipe section of coolant and your breather that goes up to the valve cover. And after that, you know, the reason we're taking that off is to join these two coolant hoses together with the supplied fitting. So just have two little spring clamps here. Gonna go ahead and take those off. And this can get a little bit messy. Then we're just going to put these clamps back in place. That's pretty much it. Alright, so now the next step is basically removing the battery and its tray. We're just going to start off by disconnecting the negative terminal. We're going to leave that disconnected for, you know, throughout the installation basically. You want to do that to erase any kind of short trim memory in the ECU. This will get you the performance out of the intake a little bit faster. It'll relearn the way that the car wants to run. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the negative terminal, positive, and tie down, kind of go from there. There's quite a few bolts. I think there are, I want to say 4 12mm bolts and 10mm here. But basically, we're just going to start off by first removing this upper half of the ducting for the stock intake. Just kind of wiggle it about and come off. Gives you a little bit more room to mess around in there. Now we're going to get these 2 12mm bolts that hold down the tray to the chassis. Next, we're going to do 2 that are right under here. These are actually 10mm.
Okay, so in this part, we're just going to finish removing a couple extra items here that will get in our way during the installation, and then one of these lower tubes is going to be not used anymore. so we're going to just take that out completely. So after you remove the battery tray, like we did in the last scene, basically this tube here, the lower tube, it won't be held down by anything except it's just friction force from it being pushed into the other part of the intake system, which is further down. So all you need to do is just wiggle it a little bit like this. There we go. That's what it looks like. And then over here on this side, we want to remove this plastic piece right here. It's going to get in our way. These are kind of strange push clips. What you actually do is in the center, you push down with a flathead. That was the easiest for us. And that'll actually unlock it. You don't pull up. So there's one of them, two, the third one is right there. And when you do reinstall it, you'll want to push these not up one level, but up 2 levels so it sticks out like that. Okay, so now we're going to remove the final piece of the factory intake system. This is the lower resonator tubing part. It's pretty complicated and just extra weight. You're not going to use it. If you'll notice, we also already removed the front bumper. We have a separate video explaining how to do that. So go ahead and check that out first. It's pretty straightforward. All right, so we have a 10mm bolt right here, and we have one kind of hidden on the back side, right here actually, right where my finger is. And then we have a tubing that's actually a sound, I think it's a sound amplifier. Honda did that to kind of try to bring in more sound to the cabin, but it doesn't seem to work too well. It's a pretty quiet factory intake. So you're going to use a flathead screwdriver, and what you want to do is place it right here like this on this upper flexible rubber tube, and you want to kind of work it in and twist until it's the tubing is over this little nub that's sticking out, and that'll allow you to pull it off. It's a little bit difficult to do. As you can see there, I actually cut the rubber with the screwdriver because I pressed hard enough, so it doesn't really matter if you do that. You're not going to be reusing that. All right, so we have that out of the way. Then you're going to use a 10mm bolt here, 10mm ratchet to get this other bolt off. And the final bolt for the resonator is kind of a tricky one to get. It's 10mm. It's at the bottom here, just on the other side of where the factory tray was, and you can feel around and you'll be able to feel it there. You just want a short socket to get in there. There's not a lot of space. Okay, so we have all the things holding the factory resonator removed. We had those 3 10mm bolts, and then we released this air resonator or sound tube. And now this part is a little bit tricky, removing this whole contraption here. The easiest way to do it, and this is kind of what Engine recommends in the instructions, is there's a little plastic push clip right in the inside of the wheel well here. It's kind of right where my finger's pointing. You can remove that, and it makes this a little bit easier to bend down. We practiced doing this, so We're not going to remove that, and you can try removing it if you want. It's up to you. First thing you do want to remove to make it easier is this plastic piece right here, and it just comes off with enough force. Whoop. It's an extra washer here that just goes on right there. Won't be needing that. And now we want to, the key is to get in the bottom, we want to get this bottom portion of the intake tube, the lower intake tube, over this little ledge. That's going to be the key to getting this out. So that's the first step. And then after that, you're going to have to, if you want to have a friend hold this down, you can, but you need to basically push this almost against the tire. And so there we have it. Again, it's a complicated piece.